Daybreak Africa is your one-stop top-notch breakfast show that brings you all the interesting stories happening in and around Africa.
Because we have all the morning essentials,
including the latest news, sports, weather, and events.
And of course, the people.
Daybreak Africa on Television Nigerian.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
A very beautiful good morning to you and many thanks for joining us. This is Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. My name is Elvis Opian.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mercy Jill. I hope we all slept fine, and I'm sure we're all doing well this Friday morning.
Mercy, good morning.
Good morning. Why are you sounding like you're just saying me? You missed me.
I did.
Yeah, I'm sure they missed us too.
True, honestly.
All right. Nigeria recorded 182 new cases yesterday, bringing to a total of 8,915 cases. Then the deaths, however, 258 deaths, and the recoveries, 2,592 recoveries. So it's still a hallelujah for the recoveries.
Yes, to a large extent. But every time we like lately, what I've been looking at now is the total cases that is tilting towards the 10K or the 10,000. Like, it's alarming.
We still have a lot of active cases of the virus. So, Kogi rejecting the 2 COVID-19 cases announced by the NCDC.
I wouldn't want to call it hostility between the Kogi state government and NCDC, but we've actually seen how they have gone about the whole situation. Yeah. Recall the first time NCDC officials were sent to Kogi. Kogi being one of the states that has not recorded a case yet prior to the incidents that is actually bringing about the drama or the argument at the moment. When NCDC officials visited the state, we all remember how the state government actually made them to undergo the 14-day quarantine first before they could go about and carry out their activities. And we saw some tussle there that actually making people to call or clamor for the intervention of the federal government and all. But if you look at the circumstances surrounding what is actually bringing this argument at the moment, you might want to say that Kogi State has an argument, and we wouldn't want Nigerians to even have more, further doubt or more doubt concerning the handling of COVID-19 in Nigeria. So I think the both parties need to reach a round table and settle things amicably, and then let it be transparent so that Nigerians will see that it is the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, because the Commissioner of Information for Kogi State has come out to say this is more or less like a fraudulent move by the NCDC because they have no case as far as they are concerned. Now, this is the explanation. The patient supposedly wasn't even showing any symptoms of COVID-19 in the hospital. It
was reported that he was stung by a bee.
Yes. So now he was brought into the hospital in Kogi, in Lokoja.
Federal Medical Center.
Yes, in Lokoja. Now, he wasn't exhibiting any symptoms of COVID-19. But however, he was sent to National Hospital, Abuja. Now, the first question there is, why wasn't he attended to in Lokoja that he had to be sent to National Hospital Abuja? Now, a few hours later in National Hospital Abuja, his test results came out and it said he was positive. And the National Hospital is saying that they have no problem or no conspiracy here or controversies. That the thing is that the person was showing symptoms of COVID-19. So who is Nigeria meant to listen to NCDC, the Commissioner of Information for Kogi State, which exactly Kogi is saying the patient wasn't showing signs of COVID-19 and symptoms of COVID-19. National Hospital said he was already showing symptoms of COVID-19 and he tested and he came out positive. So now they are going to the next stage, which is contact tracing of the persons that the patient must have come in contact with.
That's the basic thing, or the most important thing to do. But like you just asked that question, that's the question on the minds of Nigerians have been begging for answer. But as the day goes by, we'll see that and more information about it will unfold, and then we'll get to see how the whole thing goes about.
Okay. So English Premier League to return on June 17th. That's after 3 months of suspension.
As you're saying it, like, are you a football fan?
Not really, but I'm excited. At least we know
activities have been on hold for a while. So the resumption of English Premier League, one of the most watched and most celebrated leagues in the world, is actually going to go well. We were analyzing it the other day how people have not been able to make money because we know people who are actually make their daily livings or earnings from viewing center. People go to watch matches, but the problem now is that even though the resumption is not going to solve the economic issue for the people outrightly, but at least that depression and then boredom and all of that, people who have satellite or cables at their homes can actually have something to feed their mind with or feed their eyes on.
And like you talked about the viewing center, people can now make money at least during this period.
I'm still looking at the social distance or physical distance.
I'm sure they will try to employ. There was even this time, there was a cinema. They were talking about an idea. People watching the movies from inside their vehicles. So that's like a big way of actually cultivating social distancing. And
if some of the methods adopted in other advanced countries have actually seen the resumption of activities, like we saw in China when school resumed, how they barricaded the desk between pupils and students. If that could be done at cinemas and other public places, it could actually help.
So the first match that would kick off would be Aston Villa versus Sheffield United and Manchester United versus Arsenal. So those were the matches that were at hand before.
Those matches were due to resume on the 17th, which is more like a midweek, and then weekend from 19th to 21st we'll have other regular matches for weekend.
Yeah, you were talking about the NYC POP that held yesterday
across the federation. That is for the batch B stream 1 2019.
Yeah, so congratulations to them. And we really wanted to understand how they went about the social distancing, collecting of their certificates.
Much of it was not shown from across different states, but particularly in Kaduna State, having known at the tough stance taken by the government or the governor of the state, we saw that social distancing was adhered to a large extent at Kaduna State. But basically what we actually want to look at, like we were talking about it before we came on set, is the fact that NYC has warned people that passed out yesterday that because of the ban on interstate travel, they cannot travel for the moment. But you're not worried about people who might not have food to eat again, maybe because they have planned when they want to pass out and their house rent.
Accommodation, house rent.
So I think the government need to look, or NYC as a scheme need to look into that and see how these people can be catered for the moment. Maybe they could just give them the alawi or as the
That's the area, so which of them again?
No, for more like a relief package for them since they are not allowed to travel for now.
Yes, they're not allowed to travel for now. Anyway, we have Susan Achi with us this morning for the news. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning.
Happy Friday.
I will just tell you TGIF.
Yes, thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. So please grace us with your news.
All right. We'll now move on to the news desk for more details. Good morning and welcome to AM News. I am Susan Achin. France on Thursday announced the long-awaited nationwide reopening of bars, restaurant and cafe from June 2nd, albeit with restrictions and lethal limitations on domestic travel in time for the summer holidays. In the capital Paris, where the risk of coronavirus spread remains higher than in the rest of the mainland, only the outside terraces of eating and drinking establishments can reopen to clients, said Prime Minister Edouard Philippe. Announcing details of the second phase in the gradual lifting of France's strict coronavirus lockdown, he also said people would no longer be confined to within 100 kilometers of their homes. Now, the presidency has revealed that the first anniversary of President Muhammadu Buhari's second term will be marked low-keyed. According to a statement by the president's special aide, Mr. Garba Shehu, narratives of the government's achievements over the past 5 years, which would normally have been showcased by ministers in the party, will go digital. While noting the last 5 years have been full of historic achievements, Mr. Shehu urged Nigerians to visit the presidential handles and read how the decades-long wishes for the Nigerian people are being met. He thanked Nigerians for entrusting the country's government in the hands of President Muhammadu Buhari. COVID-19 cases in Nigeria increased further on Thursday, with 182 cases reported by the country, even as the nation intensifies efforts to flatten the curve of the pandemic. The new cases were confirmed by the specialist agency, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, on Twitter. This takes the country's total infections to 8,915, out of which 2,502 have been discharged, with 259 losing their lives. Data from the NCDC showed that the cases were spread across 15 states, and the FCT, Lagos, accounting for the highest number of infections for the day, with 111 cases. The Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, has ordered the redeployment of 11 commissioners, including those in Edo, Ondo, and Oyo. This is according to a communique by the Force Public Relations Officer Frank Mba. The IGP urged the newly deployed CPs to prioritize community policing, crime prevention, public security, public safety, and general crime fighting, among others. Similarly, as part of the ongoing peace and reconciliation initiative of the Zamfara state government, being spearheaded by the State Commissioner of Police, Osman Agogo, operatives of the command have rescued 12 kidnapped victims from their abductors. The Zamfara State Police Command Public Relations Officer Mohammed Shehu said in a statement that the victims who were kidnapped 2 weeks ago were rescued by security operatives in collaboration with some repentant bandits who ambushed the kidnappers on Wednesday, May the 27th. The Kogi state government has rejected the 2 COVID-19 positive cases announced by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. In its daily report of new cases on Wednesday, the NCDC said Kogi had recorded its first 2 cases. Only Kogi State and Cross River were previously the only states not to have recorded any case of the virus. However, during his appearance on Politics Today on Thursday, Kogi State Commissioner for Information, Kingsley Fanwood, described the NCDC reporting process as fraudulent. Meanwhile, the NCDC had earlier maintained that due process was followed in recording the Kogi cases. The Adamawa state government on Wednesday announced that 3 patients have died in the state from coronavirus complications. The State Commissioner for Health, Abdullahi Isa, disclosed this while giving an update on COVID-19 in the state. He, however, expressed fear over the state and appealed to residents of the state to strictly observe the preventive measures of hand washing, social distancing, and wearing of face masks, among others. And on to the entertainment scene, Nigerian media personality Tolu Oniru Demorin, popularly known as Tools, recently celebrated her 4th wedding anniversary with husband Tunde Demorin. The honored personality took to her Instagram page to mark the beautiful day with a cute photo from their wedding day, which she accompanied with a short but sweet message stating how much she loved her husband. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achin.
Wow. Quite great news there, especially. Let me just even start with, she knew that there were so many interesting results, so she even teased us with them.
No need for tips when you can just eat directly from the pot.
Exactly. Congratulations to Captain Demorin and Tools right there.
Yes.
Tools actually became very popular for so many things, for radio prowess and then her coffee body.
Yeah, of course. And then
Elvis. She's very good. I think about 2 months ago or 3 months ago, I don't know, there were a lot of noise about Tools and her husband.
Yeah, they were rumored to have
that they had broken up, and then here they are celebrating their anniversary, 4 years anniversary. Congratulations to them, honestly. What can we do with social media? We can never go wrong with social media. Now, Zamfara State government, they rescued 12 kidnappees. So we can see that the government is doing something regardless of the pandemic.
And the IGP, deploying, some people from the various states about 12 commissioners of police to the fact that our eyes have been opened to these issues at this very critical time of COVID-19 is very important. And we can really see that the IGP has been on his toes and has been doing a lot when it comes to security.
Yes.
It's opening up, and then these are times when one would have thought that only bad things will be happening. But we can see that a lot of people are being rescued. We see even the issue of trafficking, being brought to the limelight and all that.
Lebanon, they're bringing them back to the country. So regardless, you can see there's something good is still happening in the country.
Yes.
The people are still being rescued
this is very timely
things.
for the fact that this is happening at the completion of their 1 year in office for the second term. The governor. The governor of Zamfara State, this is actually his first tenure. When he came on board, we saw how he reacted to the issue of banditry attacks in Zamfara, where he reached out to the presumed leader of the bandit, and he came and he was talking about surrendering arms and all. And
they actually did. It's interesting how it was this bandit that went on to rescue repentant bandits. So that
when you said that repent, I just joked with repentant bandits.
Very important. So you can see that these people can actually be used positively. If they get to repent, they are the ones that know they know the terrain very well. They understand the system. So they are the ones that
do you see the strategy?
Yes. Now you use them to rather, bring security instead of...
In that same regard, a quick one, like you rightly pointed out, the much that the IGP of police has been doing. Ordinarily, when some things, you're trying your possible best to see that some of these crime or criminal activities is being reduced, and you don't get to see, most people feel, maybe because you don't need to do some changes to see that probably the criminals understand these people, and maybe there are some backhand exchange of whatever. Yes. But for the IGP to think outside the box and do it,
it's a great one.
And those repentant bandits, they should actually make sure they commend them well enough so that they don't go back to their old ways.
It's one thing to recruit them into some of
recruit them, commend them, encourage them so they don't go back to their old ways.
Let me keep my lips sealed on that one, but basically, very importantly, a big day for Nigeria. It's supposed to be Democracy Day, if not for the readjustment that happened.
June 12.
Regardless, we're still celebrating a year anniversary of the second administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, and then his 5th year in office as a civilian president.
Yes, and like we heard, he said it's going to be low-key. Of course, expected. Because
last year,
we were even sharing that last year it was even kind of low-key because of the new democracy that was gazetted. And this year, maybe the low-key is going to be credited to the COVID-19. But we're still looking forward to June 12 because basically I love the display of the military hardware and the Air Force and everything.
It's a beautiful.
You're looking forward to that,
actually.
Hopefully by then we'll be cleared of COVID-19 so we can celebrate together as a country.
Thank you for joining us, Susan.
Always a pleasure. We'll now go across Africa for some. Stay with us.
This is news across Africa on Daybreak Africa. Increase in jihadist attack in Burkina Faso since 2017 has led to the closure of more than 2,000 schools, according to the Human Rights Watch report released on Tuesday. Citing the Ministry of Education, the report says 2,500 schools have been closed, depriving nearly 350,000 students access to education. At least 222 education workers have been victims of terrorist attacks, the ministry said. The Human Rights Organization has documented 126 attacks and armed threats against education professionals, students, and schools. Since the attacks on schools began, at least 12 education professionals have been killed and 17 others assaulted or abducted, and others forcibly detained and threatened, the Burkina authorities said. Suspended since mid-March due to coronavirus outbreaks, classes in schools and universities are due to resume gradually from June 1, the government said. The party of the main opposition candidate in Burundi's May 20 presidential election, Agathon, denounced an electoral masquerade after the announcement of the landslide victory of the ruling party's candidate. We are in the process of putting together our complaint file, and we are going to comply with the law. And tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, we are going to file our appeal at the Constitutional Court to rule on the massive frauds that have punctuated this electoral masquerade, the spokesman of the National Council for Liberty, Terence Maniribona, told newsmen. Mr. Evariste, on Wednesday's presidential election, with 68.62% of the vote against 24.19% for Mr. Rasa, who came second out of 7 candidates, according to the official figures on Monday afternoon on television by National Independent Electoral Commission. The CNN boycotted the announcement of the results for not endorsing, it added, referring to a non-credible ballot. The spokesman said the party was at the top of the result compilation carried out internally by the CNL, mentioning scores of 57 or 58% of the votes depending on the ballot. Now, Burundians on Wednesday voted for a president, deputies, and communal councillors. Now, Algeria on Wednesday recalled its ambassador from France for consultations after documentaries about the North African country's anti-government protest movement were aired on French public televisions. The Interior Ministry said films, including 2 broadcasts on Tuesday, seemingly spontaneous and under the pretext of freedom of expression, are in fact attacks on the Algerian people and its institutions, including the army. Citing the recurrent character of such programs on French public TV, it singled out 2 documentaries broadcast on Tuesday by France 5 and the former colonial powers parliamentary channel. Algeria My Love, aired by France 5, sparked fierce debate on social media. It told the story of the country's protest movement through the eyes of 5 Algerians in their 20s. Unprecedented mass protests rocked Algeria early last year to demand the departure of veteran President Abdelaziz Bouteflika, sparked by the alien 82-year-old announcement that he would stand for a 5th term. In April 2019, he resigned, and in December, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune was elected on an official turnout of less than 40%. Analysts say participation was considerably lower. Mass protest virus arrived in Algeria earlier this year. At least 40 people were killed in the Northeastern Democratic Republic of Congo in the largest grisly attack on civilians in the mountainous jungle. A day after killing at least 17 in the nearby village of Mako, ADF members killed at least 40 people with machetes and looted food and valuables early on Tuesday, Nakavoto added. More than 400 people have been killed in attacks attributed to the ADF since the army began to oust the group from its bases last year, according to the Kivu Security Tracker (KST), a research initiative that maps the unrest in the region. Following 2 months of relative quiet, the area has seen a rise in deadly attacks in the last 3 weeks, KST said. Rashetawayo, a government administrator, said she was aware of the Samboko incursion but could not provide any further details. Gunmen have killed dozens of people and wounded many others in a series of attacks on several villages in Nigeria's northwestern state of Sokoto, according to police and residents. The authorities say so far 59 bodies have been recovered, while a search operation for more victims is underway. This is one of the deadliest attacks in several years in states affected by gunmen who often target communities to kill or kidnap people for ransom. The gunmen usually attack overnight, but residents say this time the attackers armed with guns and machetes arrived on motorbikes in broad daylight on Wednesday, shooting and hacking villagers to death. The attackers then fled. At least 5 villages were targeted in the Sabon Bini area. A police spokesperson for Sokoto State, Mohammed Abubakar Sadiq, told the BBC that normalcy had returned and a search for more bodies was underway. The attacks happened barely a week after the Nigerian military launched a renewed operation against armed bandits in neighboring Katsina and Zamfara states. In a recent report, the International Crisis Group said more than 8,000 people have been killed in the last 9 years of violence involving farmers and herders, as well as criminal gangs in northwestern Nigeria. That is the much we have for you on News Across Africa. Daybreak Africa will continue shortly.
Welcome back. That was News Across Africa, and you're still tuned to Daybreak Africa on television in Nigeria. We now move straight to our newspaper review segment, where we take a look at headlines making around the entire nation across the national dailies. We have Victor Tehemba, who is always with us. Victor, good morning.
Good morning, Elvis. Good morning, Mercy.
Good morning, Victor.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to have you around. Mercy.
Well, and you both are looking good.
Ah, thank you.
I think you are leading the course.
Actually, thank you. So let's move to the Nation newspaper. The headlines: Federal government, many Nigerians dying of common ailments. Below that, hospitals reject patients for fear of COVID-19. NAFDAC orders get Madagascar's cure drug. Below the picture nameplate, Buhari, Obasanjo, AFDB, board back additional. That story is on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Beside that, inside, school dormitories for use as isolation treatment centers. NCDC Kogi Tango over cases. Flights to resume in Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, Abuja. Rivers Court 2020 budget. That and more we have on page 5 of the newspaper.
Quite a lot. Quite a lot on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
Yes.
But if we were to begin with the major headline that the federal government saying many Nigerians are dying of common ailment, and I think that is one aspect that we really need to take, really need to look into, because it seems like this COVID-19 has taken the front burner,
yes,
and every other thing else has taken the back burner. So we are beginning to neglect some other things. Now, it is not as if Lassa fever has left Nigeria.
No,
it's still here, but now we are not really paying attention to Lassa fever because we think we have something more pressing, which is the coronavirus. So I think it has to come from the government to say that because we are focusing so much on this coronavirus, other people are dying of common ailments that they shouldn't have died from, that they could easily less and recover from. And then when you move on to the fact of something else.
Yeah, because of that, they say hospitals are rejecting patients for fear of COVID-19.
Well, we can understand that not all attend to patients that have COVID-19. And we've had cases of people who have COVID-19 or who have tested. Some knew, but because they are trying to avoid being taken to isolation centers, they think the hospitals can happen in Kano the first time. Yeah, so that also is a source of concern of worry to the hospitals. So you can't really blame them.
Yeah, but I think this particular part is like probably other ailments people have. Yes. So the hospitals are just generally being scared to just take anybody
because
in.
at the end of the day, when you look at the fact that you have like, let's say definitely your temperature is going to rise. At that point, it's like it has thin line between
COVID-19 and really malaria.
So people will not really want to take that risk to say, okay, this is entirely malaria and all of that. And then when you look at the fact that the symptoms it's at a particular stage before they begin to kind of exhibit themselves. The mild symptoms are regular symptoms that you could find in other, maybe ascribed to other sort of sickness. So I think on their own part is them being safe, and they also understand that they don't have the gear that to really kind of protect them. So if it were like it's mandatory that every hospital should provide these things for them. Not that they are saying you should attend to COVID-19 patients, but in the case of situations like this, then we basically might understand that.
Yes, because you remember there was a case of health workers in Kano across the hospitals, not just the isolation centers. People were having COVID-19 because they wouldn't even know when they are attending to a COVID-19 patient.
And I think something else to basically look at that is the fact that is the case going on, or rather the controversy around the AFDB with our very own Akimi additional. This whole thing started when there were allegations against him that on the part of less favoritism.
Yes.
And the board, or rather the bank, has a decent committee that is kind of independent of the bank board and the bank president. So they went and did their own investigation, and they came out and they said no, he is not guilty of any of those allegations. But then the US came out to say that those allegations,
second largest shareholder of the bank,
exactly, after Nigeria. So they basically say those kind of allegations are basically worrisome, that that he should step aside and let there be independent investigation and all that. So I don't know, they all looking like it was just like a witch hunt to, and then coming from Nigeria, just already have their own reasons why the US might want, because he has really been trying to put the bank and the African continent at the less than progressive part and all of that. So he has actually achieved a number of things, like he did 3 billion investment, which was like the highest and the biggest in the world, as not just Africa. Then increased our capital, the bank's capital, to about $1 or something billion, which was like the highest in the bank's history. So the federal government is coming out, and our own Nigerian, those that have the voice, are actually coming out to back him that no, he cannot be withdrawn to leave the bank when
he's
actually
performing this fine.
today, or rather yesterday, would have been the day that he would have been re-elected as the sole candidate of the AFDB.
Yesterday.
But now it has been postponed to sometime in August 27 or thereabouts.
Wow.
Probably to give him for the investigation.
It would be better to give him for him, but really.
Okay, let's move on to the Punch newspaper, and we have some interesting headlines here. Buhari writes, National Assembly seeks $5.5 billion fresh loan. That is above the nameplate, and that story is on the page 8 of the Punch newspaper. 8 groups jostle to monitor 300 US over additional fresh probe. Victor just talked about it. And then we have the banner story which says, NCDC cries out as rapid test kits black market rises. That story is on page 2. And federal government to use hotels, schools as quarantine isolation centers. Hospitals refusal to treat patients lead to more death. That is coming from federal government.
Well, and I think that is the whole point that we have actually discussed some of them and then, but we have to look at the government requesting about 5.3 billion, 5.5 billion dollars,
8 trillion naira.
Yeah, and our budget is about 10 points. Okay, it has been slashed to about less than 10.549 trillion, and you're going to borrow 5.5 billion dollars. That's, you already have about 8 point something trillion, which really is about making up for the entire budget we actually budget. But then that's a whole lot of money to borrow, and this is actually raising concerns, raising eyebrows from a lot of people, including kind of economists and all of those things. But then, like we keep saying that at this point where we had this whole pandemic that is making government come short on income and all of those things, the only way out is for it to borrow. And I think this is like the highest amount that Nigeria will have to borrow at one go.
At a go.
Exactly. So, I don't know. And that will also raise our debt profile so much.
All right, COVID-19. Let's move to the Daily Sun newspaper. Below the picture nameplate, federal government perfects plan to open airspace, issues new protocols for airlines, including payments for COVID-19 tests every 14 days for flight crew. Operators protest high cost of new measures. That's on page 25 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Beside that, Apple names Otedola's daughter first radio host in Africa. That's also on page 27 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Still beside that, Khan hopes to reopen churches first week in June, ready to issue worship center guidelines. That's on page 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper.
Well, quite loaded, and maybe just look at Copy coming up to be the first DJ, first radio host of the Apple Music in Nigeria. Well, I think it's actually a good one. I haven't really seen her being a host. I haven't even really seen her do the disc jockey thing. But now she's going to be a radio host
so we'll see how
for Apple, and it's actually a big contract. Although people might want to say it's a decent connection, but then that is what it is.
It is
it is what it is. You have to use what you have to, leverage on what you have.
It's working in her favor, so that's the most important part.
And it's actually a huge one that Apple is basically recognizing our pop culture. In fact, not just Apple, we have the American companies really recognizing Nigeria's entertainment industry.
It looks like Nigeria is tagged as the main publicity of the world.
To an extent.
Because at a point, once you get there, the thing is, we like to see ourselves being less and projected as good, something good coming out of Nigeria around the world. So even if it's little, we all let's gather around to celebrate it together and all of that.
Amplify it.
Yeah, and fly. So I think people know about this, and so they really try to tap into our market by recognizing. And then, as a matter of fact, we have a large market, so you cannot ignore.
Yes.
So, but again, when it comes to entertainment, Nigeria, South Africa, it's always like that.
Okay. The federal government perfecting plan to open airspace.
Yes, I think that's very nice one. I think they're supposed to open the first week of June.
Yes, first week of June as well, just like Khan.
Just first week of June. And I had a friend who works at the airport that can't just wait for to resume.
All right, that's it for the Daily Sun.
Okay, still taking a look at some headlines from some of the national dailies. We'd like to go for a quick break. When we return, we continue. Please stay tuned.
thanks for joining us on Healthy Living on Daybreak Africa. And today we shall be discussing on the causes of bad breath. Bad breath is a common problem that can cause significant psychological distress. There are a number of potential causes and treatment available. Anyone can suffer from bad breath. It is estimated that 1 in 4 people have had bad breath on a regular basis. The third most common reason that people seek dental care after tooth decay and gum diseases. Simple home remedies and lifestyle changes such as improved dental hygiene and quitting smoking can often remove the issue. If bad breath persists, however, it is advisable to visit a doctor to check for underlying causes. There are some treatments for bad breath. It is recommended that individuals visit the dentist for a checkup and cleaning twice a year. The dentist may recommend a toothpaste that includes an antibacterial agent or antibacterial mouthwash. Alternatively, if gum disease is present, professional cleaning may be necessary of bacteria in pockets between the gums and the teeth. There are some causes of bad breath. Tobacco products cause their own type of mouth odor. Additionally, they increase the chances of gum disease, which can also cause bad breath. The breakdown of food particles stuck in the teeth can cause odors. Some foods, such as onions and garlic, can also cause bad breath. After they are digested, their breakdown products are carried into the blood to the lungs, where they can affect the breath. Saliva naturally cleans the mouth. If the mouth is naturally dry or dried due to a specific disease, odors can build up. Brushing and flossing ensure the removal of small particles of food that can build up and slowly break down, producing odor. Fasting and low carbohydrates eating programs can produce halitosis. This is due to the breakdown of fat producing chemicals called ketones. Certain medications can reduce saliva and therefore increase odors. Other drugs can produce odors as they break down and release chemicals in the breath. Bad breath can be caused if they have a foreign body load in their nasal cavity, especially in children. But not to worry, there are remedies for mouth odor. Be sure to brush twice a day, probably after each meal. Flossing reduces the buildup of food particles and plaque from between the teeth. Brushing only cleans around 60% of the surface of the tooth. Anything that goes into your mouth, including dentures, a bridge, or a mouth guard, should be cleaned as recommended on a daily basis. Cleaning prevents the bacteria from building up and being transferred back into the mouth. Changing toothbrush every 2 to 3 months is also important for similar reasons. Bacteria, food, and dead cells commonly build on the tongue, especially in smokers or those with a particular dry mouth. A tongue scraper can be sometimes useful. Drink plenty of water. Avoid alcohol and tobacco, both of which dehydrate the mouth. Chewing gum or sucking a sweet, preferably sugar-free, can help stimulate the production of saliva. Avoid onions, garlic, and spicy food. Sugary foods are also linked to bad breath. Reduce coffee and alcohol consumption. Eating a breakfast that includes raw food can help clean the back of the tongue. If breath odor persists despite controlling these factors, it is recommended that an individual visits a doctor for further tests to rule out other conditions. And that's much we have for you today on Healthy Living on Daybreak Africa. Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
We have these headlines from this day newspaper. DJ Copy hosts Apple Music's first radio show in Africa. COVID-19, FG2 engage 800,000 volunteers to sensitize communities. And the banner headline we have from this day newspaper says, CBN cuts NPR to 12.5%. Upbeat Nigeria will head of recession. Disburses 107 billion naira in intervention funds. MFL calls for gradual reopening of economy.
Okay, the Daily Times newspaper, below the picture nameplate, 5th anniversary presidency lists Buhari's achievements. Beside that, COVID-19, federal government to use hotels, schools as isolation centers. That's coming from the PTF. Still beside the picture nameplate, COVID-19, Ogun relaxes lockdown from June 1st. Stakeholders urge Enugu Assembly to review urban regional planning law. That's it for the Daily Times newspaper.
Now let's take a look at headlines we have from the Nigerian Tribune. INEC has powers to deregister political parties, court rules. That story can be found on page 59. And we also have governors to engage AGF over autonomy for states, legislature, judiciary, still on page 59. And then we have the banner headline which says Buhari seeks approval for $5.513 billion loan. That story is on the page 3 at Tribune. 21 years of civil rule, gains, pains, prospects, economy, many miles crossed, many miles lie ahead. That story can be found on page 9 to page 16. That's it for the Nigerian Tribune.
Okay. The Daily Trust newspaper. How bandits killed over 70 in Sokoto. Below that, 270 lives lost in 20 deadly attacks from group. Assailant gave permission for weddings market. Buhari orders onslaught. Tambuwal to meet president. You can get all of that on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Below the picture nameplate, federal COVID-19. Federal government seeks $5.513 billion external loan. That's on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Beside that, other diseases killing Nigerians more than COVID-19. That's coming from the federal government, and you can take a look at that on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper.
Coming from Business Day, CBN's 12.5% MPR means a decline in banks' lending deposit rate. Beside that, Buhari lists achievements on economy, others as administration marks 5th anniversary. We also have DJ Copies host Apple's first ever African radio show in big dollar deal. AFDB, Obasanjo, finance minister, rally support for additional against extreme influence. That story, it's on the page 2 of the Business Day.
All right. Because of time, we move to our next segment of the program, where we launch a package, a vox pop on what coronavirus has taught the people. So let's listen to what the people have to say.
Okay, I can see you're out. That means the lockdown is not so serious again, right?
It's serious. We're still having our curfew, 68. Yeah.
So you're maintaining it, right?
Yeah, sure.
What has this lockdown taught you? What lesson have you learned from this coronavirus pandemic and the lockdown that came after it?
Yeah, what I learned is that life itself is short, and it affects both the rich and the poor. So we should just love ourselves and see the things the way we see it and take life easy. Yeah. Secondly, we should save for rainy days like this, because I've seen so many this situation, they are stranded. You see, but even they have good service, by now at least they will be using it to keep body and soul together.
What has this sudden pandemic that ravaged the entire world globally, what has it taught you as a person? What lessons have you taken? What lessons have you learned?
Okay, thank you very much. I have learned a lot. I realized the whole world is one world, is one family. I believe everybody could be indoor, just like that, school, student, everybody. So it's came, we were not prepared really. So we face a lot, food shortage, and lots of businesses, slow down in some area of businesses, or total shutdown of businesses. So I believe everything will be back again. Nothing is permanent, change is always constant. So I believe we all just have to do it together and get rid of the coronavirus together.
Please, ma, where do you work?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur. I own a salon called Mary's Affordable Salon in Gariki. Automatic car wash here, Amadu Belowe.
Okay, that's good, ma. So, ma, it's been COVID-19 all the way, and I'm sure you must have learned 1 or 2 lessons. Can you share with us one?
Yes, I've learned a lot. In fact, COVID-19 has opened my mind to a lot of opportunities. Like, if during this lockdown, I would say I've learned to manage my resources, manage my time, and manage my family as well. It has taught me to really adjust, especially, before money you just spend, knowing feeling whether tomorrow you're going to get another money. But all of a sudden, COVID-19 came like a bomb. you know. And for those who really didn't have any savings, it was a real challenge, you know. But for now, at least after COVID-19, I know a lot of people will learn to save.
COVID-19, it's been up and we've been hearing lots of things. But so far, so good. What has been your lessons?
Okay, I think so far, I've learned one thing in general, like just summarize everything, you just manage your time well, not to procrastinate things again.
So we shouldn't procrastinate things anymore.
Before this COVID-19, I had a lot of things I really wanted to do, and I just keep like, I would do them with time, then I didn't end up doing them. So I just understand, like, for the first time you just have to manage them well and do things you want to do well on time.
And nobody was prepared for it. So I know that there are lessons that this kind of thing has taught you. So what lessons have you learned from this COVID-19?
I've learned to be more hygienic and clean. Okay. So always wash my hands regularly. Okay.
Coronavirus started. What have been the lessons you have grabbed so far?
Well, like isolation and then trying to keep safe. Like apart from the COVID-19, before the COVID-19, I don't know how to go out, wash my hand, put my nose mask. I actually have it in my bag though. But with this COVID-19, it makes me to be clean and then to be safe, especially with bacteria and viruses, you know. Before we don't really know how, okay, everybody can just go out, cough, and then you'll be like, it's nothing. But with this COVID-19, I've learned that you don't really have to cough without closing your mouth, and then you have to be clean, yeah.
Nigerians recounting lessons learned at the course of COVID-19 right there, from unity to no procrastination to hygiene and all of that.
Yeah, I think mostly hygiene. People are realizing now that they should always wash their hands more often. And then talking about savings, saving for the rainy day.
It's actually a good one, because we've been complaining about our saving culture in Nigeria all the time, but thank God this has actually exposed the importance and then the deficit we've been having in that regard.
Exactly. So let's move to the next segment of the program where we're launching Vox Pop as well as, can you marry a woman older than yourself?
Can you marry somebody, a guy? Can you marry a lady that is older than you for any reason?
Yeah, I can marry her if she's rich.
So, what if she's not rich?
I guess I am not going to go for her.
Okay, so the only reason that you'll be able to marry a woman that is older than you as a guy is because she's rich.
Yeah, billionaire. I have to just put that.
I can see you have big dreams. Thank you so much, sir.
But for a man that is younger than you, can you marry him?
You know, sometimes this African thing sets in. Like, after all, you are older than me and all of that. If you take that off his mind, of course we can flow.
So you don't think that at any point in time you will start disrespecting him because you're older than him?
No. If the love is there, of course you should know that he is the man and he is the head. You know, being the husband, he is the head. Even if I'm older, I should know that I'm a woman, I'm supposed to submit.
Can you marry a woman older than yourself?
Yeah, I can.
Why? How?
Because my last relationships, I've not really been a relationship person though, but I did try. My last two girlfriends were older than me. One was 30, the other was 32.
And how old are you?
I'm 26.
So the other was like 4 years older?
Yeah, the other 4 years and 5 years older.
Wow, and how was it? How was the experience?
But it's okay. Like, the issues we had with the last one was basically distance. Like, she really traveled out and, you know.
Okay, but there was no maybe disrespect or anything?
But I think, so far, I don't think, for me, probably because I studied sociology, so I really don't see things that way. I feel loving someone has nothing to do with age. Okay, you consider the president of France now, probably. You understand, marry someone who is more older than you, not because they can't afford someone who's... So it's just, I think it's who you feel the vibe with. So sure, if I see someone who's more older than me, why not I can?
Would you mind marrying somebody, a lady? And you know how our African society is, you know, most times the guy is older. But would you mind marrying somebody that's older, that is younger than you as a woman?
Yeah, age is a number, but it doesn't overall. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, can you give any reason, like maybe just any instance or any reason why?
That's because of the
psychological.
Yes, and the age difference will be much. But his thinking style and mine wouldn't be the same, so I wouldn't want to go for that.
Can you marry a man younger than yourself?
Yes, because I'm actually dating one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Younger than you? But with how many years?
8 years.
Wow.
What did they say? Oh, do my way or old where we are in now? How?
The person way old pass you.
We old pass me. We old like 70 years.
Anyone?
Omo old. That old the person go think well. How I go marry Oduma? Fine girl never finish. I go there Oduma. Then I wait to happen. I beg.
Can you marry a woman that is older than you for any reason?
Yeah, if the love is there, definitely I will get married to her.
Okay, so there's no problem, no matter what. You're not scared that she'll not respect you, she'll not cook for you.
Depending how I manage the home, at least God have made a man the head of the family. So if you can put your home together, age is just a number. You tell her strictly this way, you have love for her, and you tell her what you also abide by her own rule, while she also abide by yours.
Thank you very much, sir.
You've seen for yourself, so many people say age is just a number, but I think from this part of the world, so much premium has actually been placed on age, which is a two-way thing. It actually can be responsible for the respect and the culture we have as Africans, and then some people argue that is the reason why we don't get so many things right so many times, because someone is older than you and he or she goes wrong, you feel correcting him or her would be disrespectful to an extent. But when it comes to emotions, I think it's who you vibe with. That's what most people have said.
Yeah, like we all say, age is nothing but a number. So wherever your heart lies, you go along with. That's the much we can take today on Daybreak Africa. This is still Television Nigeria. My name is Messi Joe.
And my name is Elvis Oga. It's been an amazing ride with you, and we hope to do this on Monday, same time, same station. Endeavor to join us.
Okay, so we'll be leaving you on a package on Street Creed with Governor Obafemi. Stay safe.
If Governor of Edo is afraid of direct primary, the national chairman is afraid of consensus. If APC have not done it in other states, then they will not do it in Edo State. But if APC have allowed it in other states, why is he afraid? Why is he afraid of consensus? They have the one that started it. Let them finish it.
Damo Shomela is the party chairman, and whatever decision he takes, the decision is binding to the party followers.
So my name is sir. My name is Comrade Jeffrey Ekama. Okay. So which mode of primary should APC adopt in Edo State now?
It to be a direct primary for the candidates there, to know the qualifier between the APC and the PDP.
Okay, presently now there is a social distance. Do you think with mode of direct primary it will be observed in the state?
Yeah, if that is the case, there should be a social distance voting between the candidates there.
So you support the national chairman on direct primary?
Yeah, of course. I support it 100%.
Thank you, sir.
Direct primary and consensus, anyone the state government deem right, that is good for them, they can carry on and do it.
The national chairman says direct primary. Why the governor said consensus?
Okay, the national chairman, that is the question he has to answer Nigeria. If APC have not done it in other states, then they will not do it in Edo State. But if APC have allowed it in other states, why is he afraid? Why is he afraid of consensus? They have the one that started it. Let them finish it. Why is he afraid now? Why is he running away from it? They are the one that started it. They have been doing it in other states. Why not Edo now? Let them do it.
Most people are saying that the governor of Abuja is afraid of losing the election. That's why they don't want direct primary. What can you say on that?
If governor of Edo is afraid of direct primary, the national chairman is afraid of consensus.
Why do you say that, sir?
That is their opinions now. This one has his own point of view of doing the direct primary. This one has his own view of doing the consensus. So they should leave the governor alone to carry out his work. Because other states, if APC have not done it in other states, then they should not do. But they have been doing it. Why is the national chairman is afraid of it?
Well, for me, you see, I think there are two things to be considered in this case. First of all, you know, because of this coronavirus pandemic that is ravaging the whole world and Nigeria particularly, we should be much concerned about the health of the people. And if direct primaries will expose people's lives to danger,